Tensions mount in the Middle East, but big victory for Indian diplomacy. Iran has said Indian representatives will soon be allowed to meet the Indian crew members of MSc Ares. The assurance has come during S. Jaishankar's talk with his Iranian counterpart when India raised the issue of 17 Indians on MSc Ares detained by Iran. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has said that they are still on high alert just a day after Iran fired over 300 drones and missiles at Israel in its first ever direct attack. The UN chaired an emergency meeting where a war of words erupted as Israel and Iran faced each other over recent attacks. Israel has lashed out at Iran, alleging that Iran for years had funded and trained terror proxies, adding that Israel will defend itself. Hitting back, Iran said its attack only targeted military facilities of Iran, adding that the operation was carried out in self-defense after Israel attacked the premises of Iran's diplomats on the 1st of April. Meanwhile, UN chief has urged maximum restraint from Israel at this emergency meeting.
We are still on high alert and assessing the situation. Over the last few hours, we approved operational plans for both offensive and defensive action.
I stated the following last night, and I quote, "I strongly condemn the serious escalation represented by the large-scale attack launched on Israel by the Islamic Republic of Iran this evening, and I call for an immediate cessation of these hostilities." End quote. I remind all member states that the Charter of the United Nations prohibits the use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state or in any other manner inconsistent with the purposes of the United Nations. Furthermore, the principle of inviolability of diplomatic and consular premises and personnel must be respected in all cases in accordance with international law, as I stated when condemning the 1 April attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus. And we have a shared responsibility to actively engage all parties concerned to prevent further escalation. As the Friendly Relations Declaration of 1970 states, acts of reprisal involving the use of force are barred under international law. We have a shared responsibility to secure an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza, the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages, and the unimpeded delivery of humanitarian aid.
The armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran carried out a series of military strikes on Israeli military objectives with dozens of missiles and drones. Iran's operation was entirely in the exercise of Iran's inherent right to self-defense as outlined in Article 51 of the Charter of the United Nations and recognized by international law. This concluded action was necessary and proportionate. It was precise and only targeted military objectives and carried out carefully to minimize the potential for escalation and prevent civilian harm. These countries, especially the United States, have shielded Israel from any responsibility for the Gaza massacre, while they have denied Iran's inherent right to self-defense against the Israeli armed attack on our diplomatic premises. At the same time, they shamefully justified the Israeli massacre and genocide against the defenseless Palestinian people under the pretext of self-defense.
Israel is not the boy who cried wolf. We have been screaming from the rooftops for years, trying to wake up the international community, but to no avail. If only this Council would have internalized my words, it would not have needed the bone-rattling explosions of last night's attack to wake it up. Why have you not used all possible means to condemn Iran and demand compliance? Why have you instead rolled out the red carpet for these genocidal jihadists? Why do you treat them as if they are interested in de-escalation when you know that the opposite is true? Colleagues, Iran's strategy has been crystal clear: arm, fund, and train terror proxies across the globe to carry out Iran's murderous scheme of domination. But today, the mask of Iranian deniability has been removed. No more hiding and no more bluffing. No more shirking of responsibility. Iran has attacked Israel from its own sovereign territory, publicly and proudly.